Ayushi Verma from Investor Learn Academy, and I welcome you all to this channel. In the last video, we understood the concept of leverage ratios. Today we will look into another category of financial ratios, that is the valuation ratios. Generally, valuation is the estimate of worth of something. When we talk about the investments, worth is considered the price of a stock. A company's valuation becomes necessary to evaluate when we make an investment decision. Valuation means the price you pay to acquire a business. It is always good to find stocks with average business and that are available at a low valuation instead of an exciting business with an extremely high valuation. The valuation ratios helps us to understand the attractiveness of the stock price from an investment perspective. The point of valuation ratios is to compare the price of a stock vis-a-vis the benefits of owning it. Valuation ratios, sometimes called market value ratios, and are measurements of how appropriately shares in a company are valued and what type of return an investor may get. By calculating the market value, a potential investor can see if the shares are overvalued, undervalued, or are available at a fair price. It also helps determine how much a potential investor should buy. There are several different valuation ratio calculations that can be done to find the market value of a company or a stock, and these are as follows. First, price to sales ratio. Second, price to book value. Third, price to earnings ratio. Fourth, price earnings to growth ratio. Fifth, price to cash flow ratio. Sixth, EV, enterprise value, to EBITDA. Now let's understand each one of them in detail. Now the first ratio is the price to sales ratio. The price to sales ratio relates the company's price per share to the sales. To calculate it, take the company's current share price divided by the sales per share. The price to sales valuation ratio is often used as a comparative price metric for the companies that do not have positive income, like new companies or those companies who are in trouble. In some cases, investors may use sales instead of the earnings to value their investments. One of the advantages of using price to sales ratio is that sales are much harder to manipulate than earnings, since a company's sales are generally more stable than its earnings level. The higher the price to sales ratio, the higher is the valuation of the firm. One has to compare the price to sales ratio with its competitor to get the fair sense of how expensive or cheap the stock is. Now the second ratio is the price to book value ratio. Before we understand the price to book value ratio, we need to understand the term book value. The book value of a firm is simply the amount of money left after the company pays all its obligations. Price to book value ratio is the measurement that looks at the value the market places on the book value of the company. It is calculated by taking the current price per share divided by the book value per share. The book value of a company is the difference between the balance sheet assets and balance sheet liabilities, as this is the estimation of the value of the company at the time of liquidation. For example, a company with a share price of rupees 60 and a book value of rupees 65 per share would have a PB ratio of 0.9. A ratio over 1 generally implies that the market is willing to pay more than the equity per share, while a ratio under 1 implies that the market is willing to pay less. This ratio is relatively stable and doesn't fluctuate much as others like P ratio. Third, price to earning ratio, which is also known as PE ratio. The price to earning ratio is perhaps the most popular financial ratio. Price to earning ratio looks at the relationship between the company's stock price and its earnings. The P ratio gives investor an idea of what the market is willing to pay for the company's earnings. The P of a stock is calculated by dividing the current stock price by the EPS, which is the earning per share. Before we proceed to understand the P ratio, let's understand the term EPS. EPS measures the profitability of a company on a per share basis. For example, assume a company with 1000 shares outstanding generates a profit of 2 lakhs rupees. Then the earning per share would be rupees 200 per share. Hence, the EPS gives us a sense of the profits generated on a per share basis. Clearly, higher the EPS, better it is for the shareholders. If we divide the current market price with EPS, we get the figure of price to earning ratio. For example, if the P ratio of a certain firm is 15, It simply means that every unit of profit the company earns, the market participants are willing to pay 15 times. Higher the PE, more expensive is the stock. A dropping PE is the indication that the company is now out of the favor with investors. One of the most important drawback of price to earning ratio is that this ratio doesn't consider the debt amount. Now the fourth ratio is the price earnings to growth ratio, which is known as PEG ratio. Price earnings to growth ratio is the relationship between the P ratio and the projected earnings growth of the company. It is calculated by dividing the P ratio of the company by the EPS growth. For example, if the company's P ratio is 16.5 and its EPS growth over the next 3 years is expected to be 10.8%, its PEG ratio would be 1.5. A PEG of 1 or less is typically taken to indicate that the company is undervalued, and vice versa, if it is more than 1, the company is basically overvalued. To get a clear picture of the value, the PEG of the company should also be compared with the PEG of the market and with the industry that the company competes in. Now the fifth ratio is the price to cash flow ratio. This ratio measures how much cash a company is generating relative to its market value. This is a good alternative to P ratio as cash flow shows less manipulation than earnings, which are affected by the accounting treatment for depreciation and any other non-cash charges. It is calculated by dividing the company's market cap by its operating cash flow in the last 12 months. It can also be calculated by dividing the per share stock price by the per share operating cash flow. A company with a share price of rupees 20 and a cash flow of rupees 5 equates to price to cash flow of rupees 4. In other words, investors currently pay rupees 4 for every future rupee of expected cash flow. 6. EV to EBITDA. Let's understand the EV first. Enterprise value is the measure of the company's total value. It's also an alternative to equity market capitalization. While calculation, EV includes the market cap of the company, short-term and long-term debt, as well as any cash on the company's balance sheet. To calculate enterprise value, we need to add market capitalization plus preferred shares plus minority interest plus debt minus total cash. This ratio is the ratio of enterprise value to earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation and amortization. This ratio is good for the capital intensive industries like airlines, railroads, where the balance sheet hides a lot of the funding. It basically measures what is the value of the company if you were to acquire that company today. When you buy the company, you pay the equity market cap plus take over the debt and get the cash balance as the credit. This ratio captures the payback period of your investment in the company. When this ratio is 5, for example, it means that it takes approximately 5 years for you to recover the cost of acquiring the company through EBITDA. So in this video, we learned about the valuation ratios. We'll meet you next week. Till then, be safe and happy learning.